The proposal that Nirmala Sitharaman made, Ashok Wadhwa, to say that I'm going to ask SEBI to increase the minimum public shareholding threshold from 25% to 35%. Now, I don't imagine this is going to happen in 1 year or 2 years. First, the regulator needs to move on this. Then I'm sure they will give enough time to companies and promoters to be able to do this. But do you think that this is a broad positive, that it brings more public investors into these companies, or a negative because what it could do to stock prices or promoter holdings?
So, we did a quick back of the envelope calculation, Menika. Companies that currently have 75% ownership, promoter ownership, whether the promoter is an Indian promoter or a foreign company, the current market cap of these companies is approximately 40 lakh crores. So 10% will effectively mean about 4 lakh crores of additional paper coming to the market. The first question is, does the market have the ability to absorb it? And the answer to that is, I'm sure the regulator is going to be very, very sensible. SEBI has always been very sensitive to not overloading the market. And therefore, if it's built on an adequate time frame, I think given the current interest particularly by FPIs in the domestic market, I think there is enough appetite to be able to absorb that new paper that is likely to come to the market. Second question is, how do multinationals feel about it? Multinationals anyway don't like listed companies. They were holding on to 75%. Now they have to decide and dilute themselves to 65%. I would say at one level they won't like it, but at the other level, there is a element of speculation that's built in every single multinational stock on whether the company will remain listed or remain unlisted. Now there will be a decisive action. If the company wants to remain listed, it will bring its ownership down to 65%. If the company wants to use this as an opportunity to delist itself, because otherwise it's only going to become more expensive, then this is the time to do it. And with the new delisting rules being fully incorporated, I would say this is as good a time. I'm not saying it's necessarily cheap, but this is as good a time to exercise that decision and remove the speculation from the marketplace. I'm sure Indian promoters, etc., some may not be concerned about it, some may be unhappy about this dilution. But what it does do is improves India's position because of liquidity on the MSCI index, as we heard today. We do know that there are some very, very good companies, and if more paper from those companies comes into the market, there is enough capital. Currently the money goes there and it's inflating the prices, but once there is greater supply, I think the prices and the prices will stabilize, because the demand and supply will find a fairer position to stabilize at. So I would say, still don't know why government did it, why government wants to do 75 to 65. Can't guess why government wanted to do it as a part of the budget, because normally SEBI regulations are introduced as a part of discussion at the SEBI board meeting. But there are merits and demerits like in everything else.
Yeah, fair enough. The first time when they did the 25% thing, I can't remember if it was first mentioned by the government in a budget or in some other forum, but it came from the government, and it was then SEBI and Mr. UK Sinha, who was then the head of SEBI, who spearheaded that and created a regulation around it and gave companies 3 years. Mr. Shankar Raman, as if you didn't have enough pain points today, I'm going to add one more. I believe that L&T shareholding in L&T Technology Services and L&T Infotech is 75% and above. So in fact, if this minimum public shareholding norm does expand or increase, then it will be incumbent on you all to reduce your stake.
Well, if regulations demand that, I think we have to comply. But as Ashok was mentioning, I think we'll have to look at it as an opportunity to make the stock more popular and more available to the market. And hopefully the value creation will help compensate the dilution, even if it is regulation led. So I suppose we are not looking at it as a very significant negative. We do have listed companies where we hold less than 75%, so that's fine by us. But I do expect that SEBI would give its time frame so that there is not an abrupt release of supply of these stocks into the market.